Hello. Let's see my face. It says non-copyrighted, but I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted. Okay, I'm talking. There's redoing the dance thing, whatever. Pause. But I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted. Okay, I'm talking. There's redoing the dance thing, whatever. Pause. This is the lowest I can put it, I believe. Maybe if I can just don't mute the site. If I could, but I can't. It's for the speakers, but that's not. I'm gonna try again. Okay, I'm talking. Look at me, I'm talking. It's amazing. Hopefully you can hear me, so we're gonna do some mapping and all that. Yay, fun. Wait, pause. It's amazing. Hopefully you can hear me, so we're gonna do some mapping and all that. Yay, fun. Wait, pause. I think it's good. It should be good. Okay. Public. Save. I gotta make like a starting soon slide. And the be right back slide, maybe. Maybe. Makes sense. Okay, fine. Play the aesthetic background music, no copyright. Pretty sure it's copyrighted. Because that's how they get you. I don't know who this they is, but just waiting. We're back to our usual mapping thing stuff, stream activity thing. Hello, hold on, I'm gonna wait a bit for people to join so that I can start when people are here. There's a fly. Oh good. Oh, Technoblade. Deleting this crashed very quickly from. Okay, well, what? I hope if the music is too loud, which I totally didn't drop my phone, which usually happens because no, the music usually is too loud, not me dropping my phone. That should be a distinction. But I can't. This is lit. I shouldn't say lit. I shouldn't make it. This is most likely the lowest I can get it at, unless I can't. I made a I almost said Adobe. It's OBS. The lowest on OBS and the lowest on YouTube. So it's the lowest I can get it. So hopefully it's good. Hello, hi Ocean, weather and mapping. How are you? Hey Matt, hello Francisco. What are you going to do today? Slime music is okay. Thank you. Did you change your last name? No, I didn't change my last name. So it's been Dohania ever since I was born, I believe. So what? Good question, Matt. What are we doing for today's live stream? The thumbnail should kind of show you. It's something about Japan, and since the Japanese election is no October. Oh, it's the last day in October. Okay. So that's what we're gonna work on that, and then I'll post a video on that like a day or two after. Oh yeah, they also got a new prime minister because Suga resigned because he has poor health and all that. So now they got a new prime minister, Fumio Kishida. He's the how many prime ministers does Japan have? They had like 100 so far. I bet he's like the 100th. Has that definitely been a lot of prime ministers? And there's no number. Oh, he is. Wait, no, he is the 100th, or he's the 100th government, but not the 100th prime minister. How many prime ministers has there been? Okay, this is a bit. No, that's not important at the moment. Because we're focused about the election at hand. U.S. redistricting. Yes, I saw that. There's 538's doing like a pretty good thing. And speaking of redistricting, I'm gonna do something kind of like that, but that's not for a while. Kind of related to that, but that's something far ahead. But let's get to the map because I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of my face, even though it's so amazing. Oh, that was a good transition. So we're gonna draw what do they call them? Districts? I think they call them districts. What are they called? Parliamentary districts, yes, of course. I've just been choosing random ones, kind of. Not random ones. I've just been trying to get them all in a good position. Should have done that before. I thought it was good, but now the border doesn't seem to be right. There you go. Because the base map that I drew beforehand, because I was working on something else and I didn't want to draw an entirely new map, is different from the election map that I'm using. So I gotta kind of adjust it somewhat. Could be better. That could be better. But that's not good enough. Let me extend it a bit. I set this up beforehand, but now that I look at it more, it's not quite precise enough. No, it's good like that. That's good enough. No one's gonna fully care unless, well, don't tell my viewers that that I don't. Okay, see, this is the base map that I used, and I always like using National Geographic because they make good maps because they're kind of known for their geography. Oh, that's good. Okay, just drawing that. Not everything has to be 100% precise, but I try the best. I hope you guys, hold on, comments, are you guys saying anything? And Maxie's back with the N. What are you doing? Hi, oh, is that Russian? Oh my goodness. But hi, I don't know what that is. What, yeah, Aunt Maxie, why do you keep spamming N? Is that an El Niñe? Because I forget what the squiggly, technically, as I said before, my name should include the squiggly line, but I don't do that because I never really caught on to that. I'm too well, hold on, I'm too short, which is a problem, but I won't delve into that. Have you also worked on terrorist attacks in France and EPW? That's interesting. No, really, not since the stream in which I last mentioned them, but I've dabbled in EVW lore recently, especially when it comes to the British, because I had to delve out the whole, why the heck did the Bellikists take over? And yeah, that was something that needed to be more in depth about. There you go. So my rationality was that Scorpion, who was on my Discord, kind of pointed out that, yeah, it makes sense that like communist and socialist revolutions would pop up beforehand, and then like nationalistic and bellicist movements would try to overthrow those communist and socialist movements, and so that's kind of how it happened. And so there's like socialist and communist like revolts and protests happening in the UK. And so as a bulwark again, there was a bunch of like nationalistic protests and counter militias form up. This is all preliminary and like all like basic, but then they soon see the king and the parliament as also failing the country because of the war and the economy and everything, and so they see that the king kind of failed them, but they still want strong government. But there's also groups that like the king and want to actually empower him more. And I'm just kind of thinking this up as I talk. And so there's a clash between all those groups, and then of course then the king has to flee, and then the government. And it's all in development, but because it's all quite interesting. This is actually quite chill music, I'll say. Hope you guys are enjoying, because it's always awkward when I just sit here like and just map or whatever while I'm doing something that's on screen, but it just looks like I'm not paying attention to any of you. But I try. The entire point of these live streams is connecting better with my audience. Okay, ocean weather. I like the music. This music feels nostalgic for some reason. Okay. So if you guys have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. I'll answer them as quickly as I can. I should come up with stories to tell. That's something. There you go. Instead of just always talking about what's the story. I don't have any stories. I'm not an entertaining person. Something that happened recently. Okay, the last stream we tried Among Us. That didn't work out, and so we went on to a political compass test, and then then one of the questions was like about abortion, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. And so I talked about how it's on my place to my own ideals about abortion and all that, which is it's a sticky subject. And should I be talking about it on this mapping live stream? No, I don't need to. But as I said, I need a story. And then, as you guys might know, I go to college now, and so there was like this not a protest. It's kind of it's not a protest, but demonstration was happening on campus with these like anti-abortion like activist people. And then like I was just walking by, and then like they had like these signs up. Like I looked at it, and then like this one person saw me, and then like walked towards like, wait, I feel obligated. Now I feel obligated to interact with this person. So now it's like, and then I interacted with that person. It's like, okay, wait, I got more in depth about my beliefs on the topic. Then they tried to like get me more more in depth, and like I said, so it's a complex topic, and I try to be nice. I generally disagreed with them, yet they made points in which, oh, that makes sense. It's like, okay. Then I was able to get away, but but yeah, that's the campus. That's campus life now. There's a bunch of demonstrations, protests. There was an anti-vaccine protest that happened on my first day there. There was like two groups of people. Like two people walked up to me like yesterday, talking about their group or whatever, and like, okay, I was interested in it, but I just didn't want to be bothered signing whatever they wanted me to sign, even though I had all the time in the world, because I didn't have a class for like an hour or two. I was like, I couldn't be bothered. I just didn't want to. But they made up, and I got the sticker. They gave me a sticker. It's that sticker. I don't know if you can you see it? Hold on. And I put it on my. There goes that one. I put it on my Hydro. So yeah, all these campus, I'm getting used to it, but campus life, I don't even live on campus, but as you can see, I would have had a different setup if I lived in a dorm or whatever, but no, I still live at home. But that goes right there, I'll say it goes. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see more of them. Now, I want to be polite, like, talk to them and like say, one time, I'm sorry for being a bit loud, but one time I was just walking by and then like someone was like, hey, do you have time? I'm like, nope, that's sorry, not now. Like she said, I understand, and like I was like, I understand what they're trying to. They try to bring out the word and all that, but like I don't want to be annoyed. I just want to get on with my day. I just want to walk. I don't want to be rude. I wish I could like have them discuss whatever they want to discuss with me all the time, but I can't. I got other things to do. I won't call them any paranormal stuff. It was like when it's nighttime, like when I was younger, there was like noises and like outside and like like my family would like hear them too. Like at one, I remember something like that. But that was just a scary moment. But I don't think I've experienced anything paranormal before. Is that all? Is that all one? I got 2 maps. I think that's all one, and so I'm gonna draw it as all one. This is chill music. But I remember one of the first times I was so scared that it shook me for like many years actually, honestly. I feel like that's when my nightmares started to begin. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar, or if any of you are familiar with Call of Duty, World at War, and like the zombies, mode of it. But I wasn't really familiar, but I kind of wish, how old was I? I was like 7 or something, I was young, like 6. And I was watching a video about like this Easter egg that was in like one of the maps. And so, like near the end of it, it said you gotta move in closer because you gotta better see it. And then like it was a jump scare, like this like scary girl, like or whatever, popped up, and I was like so scared that I literally, I don't know, it scarred me. It scarred me. And so like I was so scared. I was like, who do that? I don't remember how I reacted to it because it was like, it was more than a decade ago. That's crazy to think about, but it's all like, I feel like that's my first major scary moment. Yeah. So what region is this? Like the northern region. There's a lot of interesting lore in EVW for Japan, I would say. And I was kind of making this is why I made a base map, because I wanted to do something about Japan and EVW. But you guys will learn about that later on. No, I need that still. Yeah. But again, if you have any questions or whatever, just put them in the chat. I'll answer them, because nothing to do except just sit here and put a bunch of lines on a canvas. What region am I gonna do? I'm gonna do this, but this one seems like it's not. Oh, excuse me. Okay, another. So again, if you have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. I'll be appreciated. But as for another interesting tale that I can discuss, I can't think of anything. Hold on, give me a moment. I'm just talking. No, hold on. We're talking about I'm doing a map of the Japanese elections. at the end of the month. And I haven't talked about the elections themselves. And so, it's quite, because I'm pretty sure everyone already knows what the outcome is going to be. It's most likely that the NDP, that's the new LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, is most likely going to win the election, because they've dominated Japanese politics for like decades now, since like the 50s, I believe, except on minor occasions when, like, not the communists, but the other party, some other non-LDP party gained power in like the 2000s, I believe, for a short time. So yeah, it's like, but Shinzo Abe isn't gonna be prime minister because he like left office like 2 years ago. Then Suga gained office, and now he's not running for the prime ministership. That's not. It's like that. There you go. Leave it there, and then adjust that area. Because again, it's not the same kind of. Move that again. This one's a bit more complex. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises. It just depends on how big are they going to expand. Because their new party leader I've heard, isn't a super popular person, so it's all dependent on how many seats they're gonna win. They're most likely still gonna gain a majority, but like how big of a majority is the question. So yep. Has any other people chatted yet? What do you mean? I don't think so. You could see the comments or the chat. I can't say comments. It's not a comment while it's alive. So right? Okay, it's not exact. I keep telling myself that, but it's annoying. Just get in place. I need you to get in place. So it lines up like that. That's okay, that area is good enough. I just need this other area to be better. And I think that's I'm hungry, goodness sake. Why does it keep just work with me here? That's good. Oh, that's good. Move it down one. There you go, that's good. Enough. As I keep saying. That's down here, see, look at that. Is that a separate thing? I can barely see, but I think that's a separate, yeah, that's a separate. Okay, again, time to draw some lines. Yeah, just you, Ocean. Yeah. So again, yeah, if any of you have questions, or if you're stopping by for the first time, or stopping by for even a quick minute, just hi, if you're enjoying. We're working on the Japanese election map because Japanese elections are at the end of the month, literally. So I want to make a video about it. Wait, hold on. Since on the west of where I live, I'm ahead of them. But technically, since Japan is closer to the international date line, their elections would be even farther or earlier in the day, and the German elections were for me because of time zones. Because when I cover the Canadian election, it was like covering the American election time-wise. So it's like around the same night when British Columbia closed their polls and all that, because it's literally above Washington, so in the same time zone. So it's like when war polls closed. But so when I wake up, the elections might be over or the polls have just opened, but I don't know how far ahead Japan is in time zones compared to Washington. And besides, that election's like weeks away from now, so literally it's far away time-wise. Not gonna lie, it was nice to see your entire video about elections. And by the way, is Japan much different from our world in VW? Yeah, thank you. I've been my election music videos. I like making those. I've tried to make them more synchronized and more not common, just like common colors. So like usually I made just like there's gonna be if a party color is blue, then I'm gonna use the same blue as my past videos, so you can see that the Labour parties, the Liberal Party, the Liberals in the UK, the Liberals in Canada, the Labour in the UK, in all my most recent videos that look largely alike, and the SPD in Germany, and most likely whatever the communists, most likely, because they're more red than whatever that party is. So, yeah. And they're all gonna have like the same shade of red, and so like the conservatives in Canada, the conservatives in the UK, the Nationals in New Zealand, and the CSU in Germany all have the same kind of blue. And like all the green parties in Canada and Germany and New Zealand should have the same green. And like all the shade and all the colors should be the same, because like the districts are gonna be this like kind of grayish color, and then like the states are divided between these black lines. And then I cover each state, which I think, or region in this case, on alphabetical order, because I usually just did it from south to north or whatever, but I feel like it would be it diversifies the map, because like it pops up here, then the next one's down here, and then the next map might be like close to there. So like I feel like that just I don't know. I like that idea. Yeah, but speaking the second part of, even though that question wasn't a question, but is Japan different from IRL in VW? Kind of. I was doing a bit of is that too different? I can't, these are too no, those are the same. I was doing a bit of development for the Japan war, but I haven't really done much. But the aftermath of it, what is this? Of World War II definitely is a bit more, because the Canadians and the Entente, they were used to be allies with the Japanese, and they weren't, as Japan didn't really invade Canada. They just invaded like Hawaii, like Pearl Harbor and all that, was because the American fleet in the Pacific was largely either under the Pacific states or under Hawaii. So what they had to do, was just take out that fleet. And so now, and then they invaded the German colonies in Asia and the Pacific, and then they of course invaded China. They popped up the Qing, while the Germans popped up Yuan Shikai. And if you guys remember that person, he would like proclaim himself Emperor of China after he became President of China. But then in my timeline, he stays on because he was propped up by the Germans as a bulwark against the Japanese, and then the Kuomintang are their own independent group, looking just not for international help, because they keep saying that even the Germans and the Japanese, supposedly their Asian brothers or whatever, are just picking the Qing again. And so, yeah. And that was and I know Kaiserreich kind of had that, where the Germans back to the Qing, but it's just me trying to gain inspiration from others. I wish I could learn how. I wanted to learn how to play the piano one day. I know I can play the. I can't. I don't want to say I know how to play the flute, but I can. I can play it. I don't know how. The most I know, largely, is "Happy Birthday," and I play that when birthdays happen. But I don't know. I don't know any other things. I remember. I don't remember the notes. I remember. I gotta look at it again. But if I practice like the day before, I can get my fingers in the right place. But I don't remember the notes specifically. D D F D something. I don't remember. That's good, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But okay, back on the Japanese. Hello, Mr. Miss Paint. MS Paint. Mr. MS Paint, they suck. But Japan, they're different. I don't know. They're like a mix because Hokkaido is like communist, and like there was an entire like civil war going on near the end of the World War II for Japan, as the imperial government kind of collapsed. So, because there were groups, because Canada did drop like 4 nukes on Japan, and then that's why the emperor wanted to surrender. Then he was killed, not by a nuke, but like a coup d'etat. And so like it all went all crazy. So there was groups that remained loyal to the emperor, and like the new emperor Akihito, who is still on the throne to today in EVW because he just wants to fulfill his father and like not retire or what's it called, abdicate the throne, even if in his old age, because he by this time I'm pretty sure if he stayed on the throne like since 1945, he would be the longest serving monarch in like world history or whatever. I think, but definitely in Japanese, more than Queen Elizabeth, more than the King of Thailand who passed a few years ago, I believe. But overall, I do believe that that's something that happened. But hopefully, sorry. I always yawn whenever these live streams happen for some reason, and it's not because I'm bored. It's just that it's early, and I talk a lot, usually. Hopefully that answers some of your things, Matt. Okay. And so if you guys have any other questions or comments, just put them in the chat. I'll get to them. But I have to get to. I'll go out. That one looks a bit. This one looks a bit odd. And it's kind of like the German election. Because they have these districts, and then they have these region-wide districts. But I don't know why Germany has so many seats in their Bundestag. It's like, why do you need that many seats? Astonishing. Japan has a larger population, yet they don't have as many seats. How many seats do they have? Because like the SDP has like 400 already, but there's only 465 seats in the Japanese Parliament, Diet, House of Representatives. It's like, Germany, you don't need that many seats in your parliament. Sorry. I'm all about representative democracy, but when you have so many representatives, it's not a singular voice that can stand out, really. So like there's not a lot of action, swift action that can be done. But as we all know, Germany loves stability. They have good reason for wanting stability, I'll say, because of their past of instability. A certain man kind of led the country during World War II. I feel like this is like jazz music. Quite lovely. Never been a jazz person. I don't think I've given it a chance. I just googled, I just YouTubed, I searched on YouTube, I just YouTubed. That's how you know I'm a YouTuber, guys. I just YouTube. How do people live stream? Like how do I've seen live streams before. It's like, how do people make this a living? Entertaining people every day. I'm still not used to the fact that it can be a profession, but it is. I gotta acknowledge that. There are many YouTubers I enjoy, and like their literal job is playing Minecraft videos or doing live streams. It's like, that's interesting. I can't do that because I have other ambitions in life, but it just seems interesting. What are you doing? That's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. Again, I can make it perfect, and I don't want to try too hard, honestly. Is that a bump? That's an indent right there. You're lying to me. It's a bump? Looks to be a bump. Okay, I gotta change that. But let me get this line and I'll see if you guys commented in the chat or anything. Will Putin's leadership last to 2036? I don't think so, no. Because I feel I gotta revamp that entire Soviet, it's the really basic Soviet Civil War, or Second Russian Civil War, I should add, I'll say. Because I feel like I could develop that a bit more, but I do think Putin will take power, but he'll be overthrown by like a bunch of oligarchs and like protests, because he wasn't able to secure his power good enough. But who takes over? I don't know. I don't want to. It's like Russia, Soviet Union collapses, and then there's like some dictator abuses the democratic process to maintain and control power. It's like, okay, that just sounds like our own timeline. So what's the wazoo? It's like, oh, I guess you're right. So I gotta figure out what I wanna do with Russia and Putin. I can make an emperor, like Red World or whatever, the Eurasian Union or whatever. Vladimir III, I think he's called in that. But I think the Soviet Union can be improved. And Elmine. So again, if you have any comments or anything, just put them in the chat. I'll get to them. Do you guys enjoy my live streams? Because honestly, like, oh, what do I do here? What do I do here? I'll just. That's smooth. There you go. Yeah, hope that works out. I don't know if you guys watched Ted Lasso, but like it's a really good show. It's not a and it won like an Emmy, won a couple of Emmys, but I finished the last season. Like literally not literally, but like an hour before I started live streaming. It's like those last 2 episodes were like, this is why I love this show. It's like one of my favorite shows. Like I've been binge watching Star Trek as well. I finished The Next Generation like a few weeks ago. And at first it was like, as they say, it's like it's boring. But like get hooked and like begins in season 2, but then it's really season 3. But like the one episode I avoided because like I've heard that these episodes I was not hooked on that episode. But, like I only skipped one episode and it was like the first season, but that's when like something happened. Like I don't know if you guys watch it, but if you haven't, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's like one of those important plot points I realized that when looking back on it and realizing that was the episode that that one of those memes, not memes. It's like one of the more famous Star Trek moments happens. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I missed that. Overall, it's a good show. I started with Enterprise, then I did Voyager, then I said I'm gonna go backwards, but I didn't. So then I skipped over DS9. But I am watching DS9 now, and it's really good. I like the whole idea of it. I'm liking Quark, even though you're not supposed. And I've seen Star Trek stuff. Like I watched Star Trek information videos and all that, and so I know kind of what happens, which kind of takes away from the drama. But that was like usually for most of the shows. Star Trek shows that I've watched, especially Downton Abbey, because I watched a bunch of Downton Abbey clips, and then they put Downton Abbey on freaking Netflix, and so now I knew what some of the stuff was happening, and so like I felt completely unimmersed in the world, but I was still immersed because there were still things that I just like, what? Ugh. What was Albert Speer doing in ABW? In our world, yeah, he was an architect in Nazi Germany, so I think that he would be an economic minister in the German Empire before he capitulated to the Belgists. I don't know. I made him like leader of Baden-Württemberg. Shortly after the war, because the entire Germany after World War II is really a complex thing. So the German Empire is dissolved, and it becomes the United Kingdom of Germany, which is different from the United Kingdom of Great Britain, and it's just Great Britain now, because the kingdoms are independent. So you have Baden-Württemberg, Bavaria, Saxony, and Prussia, but Prussia is Germany, and Prussia is just a part of that German state, but the Russians control the eastern part, which is Prussia. It's like, I gotta think of that more, but it's still, the Kaiser's still there. They just kind of did a name change. Oh, they didn't really need to though, but I just want them to be called the United Kingdom of Germany. Should I put Austria? No, I don't want to put Austria because Austria is divided between North and South Austria. Just like Germany. Germany, not the UK Germany. It's like, it's classic bureaucracy and complicated political structures in which every alternate history person loves is making things more complicated than they should be in alternate history countries. But yeah, I don't know what Albert Speer would be doing. Okay, I'll do one more. Then I'll show you guys some other things. I'll do that. That one's small. But I hope you guys will have a wonderful weekend. I don't have anything to do. I gotta fill out some forms online because it's important for my higher education. And like last time, it's gonna be boring. And that's why they only have it every year. So after 4 years in college, I'll only have to do it 2 more times after this. I think, if my math's correct. Is it correct? Because then I'll do it sophomore year, then junior year. I won't hopefully stay there 4 years, so I won't have to do it after senior year. Depends on my major. Okay, I'm here to map, not figure out my future educational goals. College is a tricky place, I'll say. If any of you are in college or go to college, my advice, all I'm saying is, college is a tricky place. That's an understatement. But don't fret. It's really important, especially in the United States, and pretty sure other countries as well. Let's put this up a little bit. What other? I've watched other shows before. I think that's descriptive. I'm like, for me, my show types are like political. So I watched The West Wing. I watched Madam Secretary. I like political shows, and I also like those sciencey nerd shows, those science fiction shows that dwell into like the future of humanity and all that. Cause like, will we? Oh my, I'm sorry. Will we achieve equality and all that in the future? Is that our destiny? Is that in our path? If we fight long enough, will we achieve that? I watched The Expanse. It's a lovely. I've watched an alternate history shows as well. I watched Man in the High Castle on Amazon, and I've also watched The Plot Against America on Amazon. It's like, I can watch it again. I have Amazon now. I can watch that again. It's a pretty good one. It's where like Charles Lindbergh becomes president and defeats FDR in like 1936, and so they don't join the war. World War II. It's like really, it's really interesting. Like, it's really compelling. So I would recommend it if you have Amazon Prime. I think my mom made food, so I'm really hungry and I think I'll eat it. How much time? It's an hour of music. So we got, so only 47 minutes, okay. So again, if you have any other questions, please just put them in the chat. Because this is gonna be a short one, I think. I could actually finish the entire thing, but like most college students, I'll procrastinate. But this is the base map for it, because I wanted to do, again, like something about Japan in World War II. This is gonna be it. It was gonna show the Japanese Civil War, which happened near the end of World War II, and like at the end of World War II, and because like Japan again was the last bellicist power. So actually, I got a new. And I've been working on. Hold on, I just saw this. I've been working on Canadian maps because I want to cover the Canadian elections that are happening next year. And so I've been doing a bunch of writings. I've gone through most. I don't think it's most, because the most populated states are here, and these are going to be. These ones that are in white are the majority. The ones in gray are the finished ones, but they use those at the least writings in them. So I did those first. But even with all the gray ones combined, there's gonna be more in these last remaining states or provinces or incorporated state. Because this is based on the 2010 census, and so that's why even though America left in 2020, I'm still making this so I can do like maps that relate to this after 2010, because they do their census in the every 10 years like the United States, but they started 1 year, so it's 2011. But then they changed it to 5 years for some reason, so it's now 2011, 2016, 2021. So now I gotta wait until 2021 until I can do a redistricting map, but the election's in 2022, and so I don't think that's enough time to gather all the information, make a map in 1 year. And so the next election, any election after 2022, they're gonna have a new map, most likely. But that's like far away from now, and I don't want to worry about that because I gotta do the Dixie elections as well in that map. I messed up with the populations, and so now it's all messed up. Why do I keep yawning? I'm sorry, but it's annoying. I think I'm gonna be the yawning streamer. But yeah, see, there's a subdivision map that entails, see, these are provinces, these are states. Vermont and Rhode Island switched to a province-based system, province government system. At some point, I don't know why, because I just wanted them to. Then you got an incorporated state, which is kind of a state, but they're more independent than a province or a state in the Confederation, because technically it's still a Confederation, and the entire history of Canada has definitely changed since. And so, it's because you got the Bahamas. They're like the Canadian Hawaii, and then you got Bermuda, and then you got Greenland. They held on to Iceland for a while, so they let them go. They had them until like the 70s, but then I'm gonna change it because that seemed like way too long. Like maybe like a year or two, then they just like stop occupying them and they vote for independence. Here's the 2011 census. You can look at that. Because New York, especially, is obviously the most populated. Then I made Athabasca a province, because in the Senate, the Canadians wanted more power, because once New England joined, then a lot of the population, half of the population of the entirety of Canada is now just in New England. And they definitely have a large population of 100 million. That's mostly due because of these states joining, because Pennsylvania is the most populous state in the United States before it collapsed and all that. So now I gotta make it so that... make it like that. It's not as populous as New York, obviously, but New York is definitely the largest subdivision in Canada. The French are definitely not as influential as they are. Here's just like a basic map. Anything else? I feel like I made one more map. Or something. Subdivisions. Oh, allocation of seats. This is not it's not one of the good seats, but... see, the territories get one, so that's Yukon, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, the Arctic Archipelago Territory, because I made it. I don't know if climate change is worse or bad. Worse or less bad in this timeline. But with Canada now owning the Northwest Passage, they wanted to make a territory that's dedicated to its survival and would be economically funded more largely by those transit fees and all that, those transit taxes that ships have to pay to Canada to pass the Northwest Passage, to go through the Northwest Passage, so that they can build infrastructure there and support facilities for any passing ship that may be stranded or whatever. So many companies see that as a trade-off that they're willing to do, just in case. And then you got Greenland, because they took it over from the Danish after the war, because they needed to invade Great Britain. And then Bermuda. They're technically a territory. But yeah, that's like, what's that? What else do I have? That's the German election. 2021, what is this for? That's Canada. Oh, so I can see, I can make an example of the normalization, because you got the Germans. I kind of messed up on the German video, but it's unnoticeable. But you see, the CSU has the same color as the Conservatives, and the Greens have the same color as the Greens, and the SPD has the same color as the Liberals. And I put them in alphabetical order. Not for this, at least, because I made this one before this one, I think. But it's all largely the same, because the districts in the provinces are that gray color. And the province's borders, or the territory province borders, are the same as the state borders. So like, I'm trying to make it all look similar. I like this map. It's all colorful. I think it's an improvement on the old one, or the previous one for 2019. They held an election in 2019. I think. Yeah, they did. They held one in 2015, 2019. Yeah. Let me look at the chat. Epic. Oh, are Hungary a black sheep of Europe in 2020? I think yes, because Orban's regime would be very authoritarian. He would want to claim Vojvodina and Transylvania. I live in Canada. To be honest, the 2020 election looked almost... Yeah, that was kind of... That's like... I would have voted NDP. I don't know. I feel like I don't like opportunism politics. So, just Trudeau just calling an election because he thought he would win is like really selfish and opportunistic. But any politician would do that, but that doesn't excuse him from doing it. Okay, EU map. You speak of Hungary. I don't like the flag. Just gonna tell you that. I made it quickly. I don't like it. Of course, this entire like European border map might change, but I don't know. I'm still working on it. But yeah, Hungary is they're definitely a bit. They're not even Switzerland. Because Switzerland's a part of like the economic structure, just like normal Switzerland is, but they're definitely not wanting to probably be a part of it. Because Eastern Europe, they have the same thing with the Russians. They don't want to be with the Russians, so they want to be more integrated in Europe, such as these Caucasus countries. Greece is strong, but there was like the Carpathian Wars was like the Yugoslav Wars in this timeline in EVW, because Hungary did control like Transylvania but not Vojvodina, which is what it's like a parallel to Bosnia-Herzegovina, but not Vojvodina in this timeline. And so they wanted to, because they had like the Hungarian borders, kind of, when they were part of Austria-Hungary, they were like that big. So they kind of encompassed these two parts and like a bit of this. So they're definitely bigger than they are now. But they wanted to fight for those lands because they didn't want that. But so there were these two rebel groups, those two rebel nations. Romania started getting involved, and Yugoslavia started getting involved, which is still a kingdom technically. And so they were losing, and there was entire German conflict, the Silesian Independence War. So like the EU got involved, and there was this entire thing. But yeah, and you can see Spain isn't a part of it because they don't like it how Catalonia is a part of it. And then they had like I was thinking this like a day ago, like how the Basques, seeing Catalonia independent, would want to fight for their own independence, and so like Spain would have the Basque troubles, like a military would take over because like they were largely communists. Like they had like there was a lot of political instability after World War II because Spain was bellicist, and then they fought with the bellicist, and then they were invaded by the Portuguese and all that because of the Entente. It's an entire thing, and that was just like the basic history of that. Do I have a thing? Because I made like an EU kind of graphic. European Union. Oh yeah, I made a map. Hold on. This one's better. There you go. It's kind of better, but this is my whole EU video that I made. Because like, yeah, Germany, they're like Germany, that's Brexit. This is parallelism. Because France and the UK are the major players in the EU. So this is more accurate. Forget the map I just showed you. But yeah, the EU, France is like the Germany, and UK is like the France, because France is the economic powerhouse. They're the main power on the European continent. Well, Britain focused on the foreign affairs. They're like the triumphant duo of Europe, because they smashed the Germans and created a European order based around them. Because after the whole Anglo-Canadian split, France and the UK wanted to rely on each other because they wanted to rebuild their empire, but they realized they couldn't do that quite quickly, and so relinquished and worked with the Canadians. But now Canada would focus on diplomatic affairs, and both Britain and France would focus on more adversarial affairs, because Canada definitely didn't have the manpower. So all three of those countries were necessary in defeating or countering the Soviet Union. Oh, and here's the thing I made. I really like this. It's not, I can't figure out Wikipedia, so I made my own thing. I made my own graphics, and I like it. So this is on my alternatehistory.com thread, which is in the comments, or not, in the description. So if you want to check out this graphic yourself, then you can. Just click the link. It's in the description. Hi, Israt. Can you see my comment? Bro, please make a history of Mediterranean region every year. Only 3 watching. Yeah, funny, Israt. I don't know. That's a long time. It really is. And the Mediterranean one was difficult enough as it was. But I like how I put Theresa May as leader of the de facto leader of the European Union. Okay. The Secretary General of the European Union is elected by a plurality of MEPs, usually being the leader of the largest party. The Parliament represents the interests of the people of the member states, as the Parliament is the only directly elected body in the EU. The Secretary General sets the agenda, appoints directors to various parliamentary departments, and decides with the deputy secretaries which pieces of legislation are brought to the floor for debate and vote. There are many similar things to the current EU, at least name-wise, because you got there's no Secretary General of the European Union, but that comes from the Secretary General of the United Nations. The Secretary General is like the Prime Minister of the European Parliament. The Council President is the council of all the heads of state, or whomever the head of state appoints to represent them in the European Council. As for the Commission is the executive body of the European Union. And there were other commissioners in the European Commission. If I remember correctly, the council president rotates every year, and they get to decide who becomes the commission president. They can choose someone who's already in the European Commission or someone entirely new, but it's been the norm that they choose whomever's in the commission already, and whoever is the longest serving already in the commission. But that isn't always guaranteed, because they usually choose whoever's in their parliamentary party. So you got the Liberal, and I'm saying I'm losing my hand, but you can't see. You have the Liberal Alliance of the Union, or the LAU. They're like the free market liberals and all that. That's my understanding of European liberals. Then you got the European Democratic Coalition, which is like the social conservatives, that team up together. And then you got the European Social Democratic Union, which is like all the social democrats, all the left parties, all those labor parties together. The secretary, okay, all three of these are the main leaders of the European Union, but they associate the true leader being either between the Secretary General or the Commission President. I put the list of Secretary Generals here because I thought it would be more easy for some reason, and I just thought of the Secretary General first. The Commission President is the nominal head of the entire Union, while the Secretary General is the nominal head of the Parliament itself, and the Council Presidents are just like a ceremonial group because they're just leaders of the entire. The European Council is just consistent of all the heads of state of each European Union member, and it rotates until every country is served, and then it starts all over again. So you can't have the same country popping up right after each other. You gotta go through all the countries that have just joined, and then all the countries that have joined are added on that list, and then it's just chosen randomly until all those randomly chosen countries are finished, and then the entire list starts randomly all over again, inserting new member states into it. In my understanding, okay, I'm gonna go through I know, when did this question start in the first place? We were talking about Hungary, but hopefully you guys are interested in EVW EU history. So the EU, how did it start off as? It started as the European Economic Cooperation Agreement, because I just love the EECA. So France and Britain wanted to centralize their control, so they just made like the coal and steel agreement, but that's more in depth. And then what popped up was the Nordic single currency market, in which the Nordic kroner became the single currency of Norway, Sweden, North Finland, Denmark, and Schleswig-Holstein. Because Schleswig-Holstein used to be a UN mandate under the authority of Sweden. And as you can see, the Soviet Union strong. They didn't say they would have controlled all of Finland, but they wanted. If they controlled all of Finland, they might have incorporated it into their country, but they don't. They might have incorporated all of Poland, but they might have wanted some German territory in the east of the country, like where Prussia is. They might have taken over this part of Romania, but they wanted the communist government to rival the southern government that was like democratic. So like all these countries are just a bulwark. And I gotta make Greece a bit smaller here. And then of course Italy was a big communist in the south. Because the Agrarian Workers' Front, or that's just the main name I made up. But then those two groups showed up, and then the EU was formed. The European Union, capital Brussels, Belgium. Then you got the Nordic kroner, and then the pound sterling. Because each country still had their own individual currency. Because you had the franc, the Italian, whatever, the lira, the Portuguese, whatever they used. Then, just like in our timeline, we had the introduction of, if I can get the first year. Looking. Oh. I really don't know which one. That one. This has to be the first one. Nope, that's not it. But of course, the EU still expands and all that. Just go with that one. That's still not. It was so fun finding out who these leaders were. Then you got the Deutschmark, which united all those German countries into one currency. And then you got the euro. So the euro isn't as unified as whatever. And the Vichy area is like the Schengen area. So like open borders between all the countries. But I decided on Vichy because that's a cool, like, little tiny fun parallel. It's like, of course, the Vichy French were the German puppet state during World War II in our timeline. But I just made them the city where the Schengen area in this timeline was made. So it's called the Vichy area. So yeah, that's the European Union. And like, it's kind of basic history. And so, at first they wanted a country, when the EU was fully formalized, they wanted to make every country. France and the UK wanted to be represented. So of course they had Francois Mitterrand as the first council president, and then they had Roy Jenkins from the UK as commission president, and with some other European country as secretary general. And with the economic decline of the union, they decided on and with the elections that took place, the LAU was able to maintain power under the entire whole liberalization period of Europe at the time. That I don't know, I just picked that person because he was from the Netherlands. And then the EDC came into power. Under that guy, the Italian Republic, which was the northern part. And so, but he got old because he served in he was a leader in the last election. So they went on to Norway, in which they gained power, but then they lost in 2000 because the whole Great Recession that would later become the Second Great Depression, because that was the main reason as why the United States collapsed. There was like an economic slump, and so they wanted more like socialist groups, like leftist groups, to come in power. And then 2005, that was like when the economy was definitely in the downwards because the Soviet Union and the communist bloc was collapsing, and then the United States was in tatters around that time. Kind of. It was 2006, but you know what I mean. And so that was a bit difficult, and so then they won against the EDC, but then the EDC, seeing that their programs weren't working with the Second Great Depression working on for 4 years now, they've wanted more economic strengthening, more economic budgeting, and so they were able to appeal to that, and so they were able to push the union to a more economic stable kind of way. But I like all of these adding things. Angela Merkel served in 2001. Then she served again in 2015. She is the only head of state to serve 2 times as council president, if I'm correct. That should be the case. No one has done that before. She's just been in power for so long. And it was so interesting. I was like, it wasn't interesting. It was interesting looking at and finding a bunch of leaders from different countries and trying to figure out which one of these 3. There are definitely more parties in here, but these are the only parties that are able to maintain and gain power in the parliament or in the EU, really. But yeah, that's really interesting. I like that. I might do something. I really like this. It's like the bureaucracy of major organizations is so interesting to delve into. What's so much is the music going for? Oh, it's an entirely new video. What was Albert Einstein doing in EVW? He warned that there was nuclear capabilities and nuclear weapons. He's definitely more in depth with nukes. He was helping the Germans make them so that the French couldn't. Then once Germany fell, the French kind of stole their research, and so they were definitely closer to nuclear weapons. So it was a race between whether the French or the Canadians could get them. because the Canadians are the only other country that could have developed them fast enough. And so this was definitely more tense than it was between the Germans and the United States in our timeline, because Germany was definitely more adept, and the French were also developing them, and then the UK would help the UK, the bellicose British would help the French, the bellicose French. And so the Canadians really had to work double time, and with the help of Albert Einstein, they were able to develop it before the French could, and then they used it on Brazil and Japan, because they didn't want to invade Brazil, and they were not, then they wanted, they were not going to surrender, so they just nuked Brazil, just like they would have nuked Japan, because they were not going to invade South America. No one wanted to invade South America. They didn't have popular support. The military leaders thought that was a no deal, and if they just showed that they can nuke and use a weapon like that magnitude, all of South America would surrender. And that would show that they may not need to use a nuclear weapon on Japan. But in the end, they would use 4. Because they were more strengthened and more forceful with their resolve in continuing the war than our timeline. Because they stretched from China to Hawaii to Indonesia. They definitely were stronger than Canada in the Pacific. And so that's why Canada has always been more focused on technology and advancement. Because they know that their manpower is never going to overcome any other country, even with the French and the Canadians, especially against the Soviet Union. And so they've been focused on more intelligence and science and advancement in technologies. That's why they are definitely the leading country when it comes to space, even though they lost the space race, the first being the first country on the moon. They were like a year or a couple of months behind the cosmonauts, the Soviet Union. They were still able to reach there, and then they definitely started making moon bases and more developed satellite system and space stations, because they wanted to get an edge on the Soviet manpower, because they knew that they just didn't have any edge when it came to actual military strength in that way. How many nukes have the world ever used in war? 6, because one in Brazil, the 4 on Japan, and the 1 in South Africa. Recently, in the South African War, the first nuclear weapon since World War II to be used in combat, because the Boers developed it. They nuked South Bedford South, or whatever, some South African city, so to force them into surrendering. So that was another thing. But you can kind of read that in the timeline. But it's been an hour and 18 minutes. Hold on. I think I'm gonna head off now, because I'm hungry and I want to eat food. So hopefully, hold on. Let me take this off. We made some progress, I'll say. But I hope you guys. Oh, my hair. You didn't tell me about my hair. Is all. I put hairspray in it. Just sometimes it still just falls down. It's annoying. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. And next time, next time will be next time. So hopefully all of you have a good day. Thank you, Matt. But have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.